WAEC 2024, let's take this question number 28 under the topic quadratic equation, factorization. That's factorization of quadratic equation. So here it says factorize completely 27x squared minus 48y squared. So let's quickly do that. Now this is what we have to factorize: 27x squared minus 48y squared. However, the general form of quadratic equation that we are aware of is usually in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. And this is a polynomial. A polynomial is when you have a descending or ascending powers of a variable. Like here, the variable is x. It has a descending power. That's as each term goes by, the power of x is going down. So the reason we call it a quadratic equation is because the highest power of the polynomial is 2. So you notice that after x raised power 2, we normally have another term that has x raised power 1, then the one that doesn't have x. That's a constant. And sometimes if we were to have a quadratic equation that has two variables, so this one would have been in the form of x squared plus bxy plus what else, plus y squared plus c. This one is one that has two variables, x and y. X is descending while y is ascending. So we can even have the ones that have up to 3 variables, but that's for further mathematics and engineering, so we don't go too far. So we don't go too far. So if you look at this one now, it's a quadratic equation that has two variables. We have variable x and variable y with no constant. But first, we can factor out something here, a number here, because there is a common factor between 27 and 48. That is a number that can divide 27 and also divide 48. And that number is what? 3. So if 3 divide 27, how many times? That would be 9. 3 divide 27, that would be 9 times. So we write here 9 x squared, and 3 will divide minus 3 will divide 48. How many times? 16 times minus 16 y squared. So we've done our first part of factorization, but we are not done. Now what we are left to factorize is what? 9x squared minus 16y squared. So I'll write this out here. Now the general form this 9x squared and 16x squared would have been 9x squared plus, there should have been a term in x and y. Have you seen this example? But since there is no term in x and y, that term is 0, meaning nothing. Term x, y. Then before we now have minus 16y squared. So that missing term here in the middle, of course there is no constant in this one. That missing term here, we have replaced it with 0xy. So I'll rewrite this as 3 into 9x squared plus 0xy minus 16y squared. Remember, 0 times this will disappear, so we have not actually changed much. So we proceed. Let me take that up. So now to factorize this one here, remember, for us to factorize a quadratic equation, the first step to do is to multiply the coefficients of x squared and the constant. That is, for this one, we first multiply a times what? C. A times C. But in this other place now, since we have two variables in this quadratic equation, if you are considering x as your number one variable, the coefficient of this x squared is 9. Then this 16y squared will now act as a constant if we are considering x variable first. So here our a times c will be 9 times minus 16. 9 times minus 16. 9 times minus 16 will give you minus 144. 9 times minus 16 will give you what? Minus 144. And then that's the first step when you are trying to do factorization of a quadratic equation. Then the next step is for you to find two factors, f1 and what? f2, such that f1 times f2 will give you AC. That will give you the product of A coefficient and C constant. So we are going to look for two factors that when we multiply them, it will give us what? Minus 144. And those two those two factors will be what? Minus 12 times positive what? 12 will give you what? Minus 144. So the two factors we have now is what? Minus 12 and plus 12. Minus 12 and plus 12. And then you have to rearrange this quadratic equation in the place of x raised power 1 and y raised power 1. You have to replace it with what? Minus 12xy and plus 12xy. Remember, if it was a single quadratic equation, okay, when we'll be solving other past examples, even JAMB mathematics, you will see. So what we do next is 9x squared, in the place of 0xy, we replace it with plus 12xy minus 12xy. Of course, 12 this minus 12 that will give you 0. So we've not changed things much. Then minus 16y squared. So now we have reached that point where we can now factorize this inner bracket. So if I separate them, separate this and this, and then this and this, we can factor out something. From this first bracket that I introduced here, what is common between 9x squared and 12xy? Between 9 and 12, the common term there is 3. Then x is common in the two terms, so you can factor out 3x. And what will be left in the bracket will be what? If 3x divide 9x, well, what we will have is 3x. And if 3x divide this, what you will have is plus 4y. Then for this minus 12xy minus 16y squared, you bracket, what is common between the two? 4. You can factor out 4y minus 4y. So if you take out minus 4y there, what will be left is, if 4y divide minus 12xy, you have positive 3x. And then if minus 4y divide 16y squared, you have positive 4y. You have positive 4y. You close that, then you close your bigger bracket. Now equals to, now you see that this inner bracket here, what is here and what is here are the same. So if you factor that out, you'll be having 3x plus 4y. And what will be left is 3x minus 4y. 3x minus 4y. X minus 4y. So our final factorization, so we now have three factors, which is 3 times what is in this bracket times what is in this bracket. So this is now 3 times 3x plus 4y times another 3x minus 4y. So that is how to factorize that quadratic equation. So which option coincides with what we have there? That is option B. So our answer falls in with option B. So B is the correct answer. However, if you're finding it difficult going through this process, though you can repeat the video over and over and understand the process again, but if you are in exam condition and you are not confident enough to go through what I just did, you can find the correct answer by expanding each of the options. So the option that will give you what you have on the question will be the correct one. Like if you expand B, it will give you exactly this. Hmm? Thank you.